Jesus, the resurrection and the life, the sign that calls you to believe. John 11, verses 1 to 57. Jesus does not merely give life, Jesus is life. The sign of Lazarus' resurrection calls you today to real faith. Today, through this message, my prayer is that you too would see what the disciples saw then, that you would see the glory of Christ, that you would believe, that you would walk in obedience and hope even in the face of death. This text is drama, a family in crisis, a sickness, a death, two sisters weeping, friends coming to comfort, and Jesus who delays. The whole scene feels torn straight out of life today. You have been there too, in the hospital room, at funerals, in tears. John takes us by the hand and leads us into Bethany, not merely to show us Lazarus, but to show us Jesus. And a Jesus you may never have seen like this before. Oh, if you could see Jesus the way Martha and Mary saw him, the way the disciples saw him that day, your whole life would be radically changed. The delay that loves, verses 1 to 16. Jesus receives the message, Lord, the one you love is sick, verse 3. But he does not hurry, he stays 2 more days. Who does that? Jesus hears their cry, but chooses silence. 2 days of waiting feel like eternity when someone you love is dying. Who could delay precisely when love seems to demand urgency? The text says, Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, verse 5. The verb points to steady, continuing love, and yet he delays. This is the first great tension, love and delay. Application for today. You too have prayed for healing, for an open door, for financial crisis to end, and God seems to delay, but not because he does not love you. He delays because he intends to display his glory. The key is in verse 4. This sickness will not end in death. It is for the glory of God. So here's the question for you. What do you do when his love does not fit your schedule? God is on time even when he seems late. The confession that changes perspective, verses 17 to 37. Martha goes to meet him and says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died, verse 21. It is a veiled rebuke. Mary falls at his feet and says the exact same words in verse 32. 2 different women, 2 different ways of expressing the same wound. Can you feel the reproach? The reproach of hurting people often raises out of pain. But it is often unjustified because it does not see the divine agenda. Jesus has already shown that his delay was part of the Father's plan. The same is true today. A parent, a husband, or a leader may be misunderstood, but faithfulness before God matters more than immediate human approval. If you had been here, Martha believed that Jesus' delay had been a logical mistake. But the divine agenda was resurrection, not merely healing. Today can look like this. A child says to a parent, you are not at my game, but the parent may have been working to provide for that child's future. A wife says to her husband, you did not fix this in time, but perhaps God is using the event or that financial crisis to teach both of them dependence on him. A church member says to a leader, you did not do it the way I asked, but perhaps God is leading in a different way towards a greater result. The lesson, our reasoning is limited. God is writing a larger story than we can see. Then Jesus responds with one of the greatest I am statements in all the gospel. I am the resurrection and the life. He does not say, I give life. He does not say, I have the solution. He says, I am life. The key phrase is, though he die, yet shall he live. This is the Christian paradox. He dies, yet he lives. When we see the inner drama of Jesus himself, the text says he was deeply moved and troubled. The word carries a sense of deep indignation, even anger. The word points to inner turmoil. Jesus is angry at death, anger at sin, and yet also weeps with those who are weeping. Application for today. Jesus is not a cold God. He feels with you, he weeps with you, and at the same time he is angry at all that sin has destroyed. So here's the question. Do you see Jesus only as a teacher? Or do you see him as the one who enters your pain and weeps beside you? The command that breaks open the tomb, verse 38 to 44. Jesus comes to the tomb. The text emphasizes it was a cave, a stone lay against it, verse 38. This was a familiar image for anyone in the first century, a sealed place of death. Martha protests, Lord, by this time there will be an odor. He has been dead for 4 days. Verse 39. No one could now question the reality of death. It is brutal, it is reversible. But Jesus answers, did I not tell you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Verse 40. Here John ties the whole scene to the great theme of the gospel, faith and the revelation of glory. Martha, Mary, and all those who stood there needed to see Jesus does not only heal, he raises the dead. Then comes the moment. And when he had said these things, he cried out with a loud voice. The verb means he shouted loudly with a commanding force, like a king giving an order. Lazarus, come out. This is not a request. It's not a whisper. It's a royal command. The voice through which all things were created in John 1:3 now speaks again. The one who said, let there be light, now says, let there be life. And what happens here fulfills what Jesus had already said in John 5:25. An hour is coming and is now here when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear it will live. But before that, in John 5:24, he already said, whoever hears my words and believes in him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but pass from death into life. And Lazarus comes out, still bound. Then Jesus gives the community a task. Unbind him and let him go, verse 44. The response that divides people in two, verse 5 to 57. Someone they saw that what Jesus had done believed in him, verse 45. Others went to the Pharisees, verse 46. The same sign, two different responses. And this brings us back to Jesus' word. Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? Some saw and believed, others saw and rejected. And it's still the same today. The sign of resurrection does not leave you neutral. John 11:45, some, when they saw, believed in him. And 46, others went to the Pharisees. What will you do? His delay is not lack of love, but part of his plan. When God seems to delay, his love has not weakened. He's working on something greater than we see. In Bethany, the plan was not merely healing, it was a resurrection. And in your life, the final plan is not your comfort, but the display of the glory of God. His voice is not optional, it gives life. When Jesus cries, Lazarus, come out, death gives way. Exactly as he said in John 5:24 and 25, the one who hears and believes lives. This is great news. Jesus does not merely offer life, Jesus is life. Your response defines you. Some saw and believed, others saw and rejected. The same evidence, two reactions. And it is still the same today. Before Christ, there is no neutrality. Either you bow down before him as Lord, or you reject him.